A great question for everyone to be considering this weekend. Exactly how much money does Minneapolis have as a city to just be handing out willy-nilly? I ask that because surely you've seen these stories, and this is not the only one. In December last year, they moved $1 million back to the police, and then early this year, they move another $6.4 million over to rehire the police officers that they defunded last year. Right? They took $8 million away from the police department budget in 2020, and then they had to give $1 million back. Now they're giving another $6.4 million back. They're just so close to being where they were, which was entirely underfunded and understaffed in June of 2020. Now you have the city of Minneapolis settling a lawsuit with the George Floyd family for $27 million. So in total, this thing is going to cost the city well over $35 million when it's all said and done. And the point of me bringing this up is not to mock and belittle the city for being terrible with its money and not knowing what the priority should be. Paying off a family during the middle of a trial to taint the jury and to make it all look like the city is with the family and that they are even looking forward to holding this police officer accountable is entirely irresponsible. It should be unlawful. This should be held off until the trial of Derek Chauvin is completed. One way or the other, there's going to be a resolution there, and then you can give this family money if the court decides at that point that the city owes the family money. Right now, the city's just decided to say, well, you know what? Let's just bend over the barrel. We'll give this family millions and millions of dollars, way more than the police ever get, which, by the way, just means the citizens of Minneapolis, they don't get the same protection that George Floyd gets, right? Because the $27 million that just found its way into the budget for this settlement could have even half of been given to the police department. And if the police department had more money and more resources, maybe George Floyd would still be alive. So you can see my argument here is that they are totally mismanaging their money, and we ought to laugh. We ought to mock. We ought to be ridiculing the city and anyone who still lives there for allowing this. How is it that in the middle of a trial, the trial of the century, for Derek Chauvin, the supposed accused killer of George Floyd, that in the middle of that trial, the city goes, you know what, we're going to pay off the family. This would be like the civil trial of O.J. Simpson happening concurrently with the criminal trial. It makes no sense, and this is only for a spectacle, for the city to be able to show that they're giving money to the victim's family, and they're all doing this ahead of the riots that will come when Derek Chauvin is, no doubt in my mind, going to be found not guilty. He'll be acquitted, and the city will have said, well, look, please don't riot and burn everything down because we already paid the family money. And it's despicable, and I hate to see it. So the question is asked, how much money does Minneapolis have? This says here in December, they're shifting $8 million away from police, and then they had to shift $1 million back. And then you see, how rich is Minneapolis? Does Minneapolis have a ghetto? How much money does Minnesota make? So you see some similar Google questions. Here's the economy of Minnesota. You can see they have a $312 billion GDP as of 2014. That's drastically fallen. And you'll see that here if you go over to the Minneapolis City of Lakes webpage and you flip over to their budget, you'll see the first thing here is that they know they're going to be losing money. They say in 2020, the city saw a projected decrease of revenues of over $100 million. So last year, they lost $100 million in what they would normally be seeing for revenue. And what did they decide to do? To try to get more revenue, to make their city grow, to make it safer, to make it healthier. They spent like drunken idiots. And they spent all the money in the wrong places. That's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below, as Minneapolis is set to burn, and I'm sure of that. Because no matter what, the riots will happen whether Derek Chauvin is found guilty of 1 or 2 charges, but not all 3, or if he's found guilty of nothing and he's acquitted. Either way, there will be riots, and the city has tried to say, look, we paid off George Floyd's family. We gave him $27 million. You should have held that money for all the damage and destruction that's going to be caused over the next couple weeks. That's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel on all the great platforms, hit all the links in the description, and you'll be helping me keep America afloat.